Okay, here we are with the Game Week 9 preview. I'm sorry this video is so late. I've had a very busy week and I'm recording this about an hour before the 3 p.m. kickoff start. So I haven't looked at the team selections, although I could right now. I just want to share with you what my thinking was coming into the weekend. Okay, so here are the three main things I wanted to talk about. I'm going to talk about Liverpool's front three and just, is that something worth investing in over the next over this weekend and next weekend when they've got Huddersfield away and Cardiff at home? There's a question mark over whether Salah, Mane and Firmino are really delivering at the moment, and whether that's really been because they've had some tough fixtures recently and they've got some good fixtures now that they're going to kind of swing back into point scoring form. They haven't been scoring as heavily as I think people may have predicted at the beginning of the season, and they carry some pretty heavy price tags. So it's kind of an interesting thing to talk about. The second thing I wanted to talk about was Arsenal's front three, who arguably are looking as potent, if not more potent, than that front three at Liverpool. And then thirdly, just wanted to talk about a few other players that I'm kind of desperate to get into the team as soon as possible. Eden Hazard's one, the top scorer in the game. We've got Matt Doherty at Wolves, who scored against my beloved Palace. After I'd called him in game week 1 as being a player I wanted to get in, and I just haven't picked up yet, and he's scored so many points. And then finally, Wayne Hennesey, who's in my team. I think he's currently the top scoring goalkeeper, or is up there. But Palace's fixtures look horrible over the next few weeks, and even though I'm a Palace fan, I'm not feeling good about the way they're playing at all. Let's jump into the first one, Liverpool's attacking front three. I had planned, going back a few weeks, that I would be bringing back in 2 Liverpool players, I think one this week and one next week, so that I could get exposure to this Huddersfield away game and to the Cardiff home game next weekend. I don't think I'm going to do it. I'm not feeling good about Liverpool's front three right now. Salah got slightly hurt this weekend playing for Egypt. Mane got slightly hurt this weekend playing for Senegal. There's Champions League games coming up. They haven't been on the greatest form. This fixture, Huddersfield away, looked really easy a little while ago, and I just don't know. I'm starting to get a feeling that it might be a little bit more difficult for Liverpool than it may seem on the surface. I heard a really interesting stat on one of the podcasts this week, which said that Liverpool under Klopp have actually got a pretty terrible record against teams that are currently in the bottom 3. They've lost plenty of those games and picked up relatively few wins. I could be wrong, but I think this game might be tighter than I thought it was going to be a few weeks ago. Plus, there's a bit of rotation risk here. Daniel Sturridge has started to come back into the team and is doing well, which raises question marks over Roberto Firmino's minutes, and he was probably the player I was most likely to sign this weekend. And Xherdan Shaqiri has got form as well and has played well in his last few games, and that might mean that either Mane or Salah don't play quite as much, and maybe they're kind of thinking about the Champions League. So I'm a little down on Liverpool's front three this week. I kind of want to see how they play, and if they have a good game again this week, then I'll bring them in time for the Cardiff game next weekend. We'll talk about Arsenal's front three. I think they look fantastic. I know it's not really a front three, but when I talk about that, I really mean Lacazette, Aubameyang and Ozil. And I know their fixtures have been relatively easy, but they are playing good football and they're scoring lots of attacking points. Even with Aubameyang last weekend only coming off the bench for 20 minutes, I think he scored 2 goals and got an assist. It's kind of incredible. And I think there could be some differential points available if you can jump in on Arsenal's front three. Their next couple of games are quite good, so if you can jump in now, you might be able to get in points by having 2 or 3 of these guys in your team before anyone else does. I think they're at home to Leicester in game week 9 and then away to Crystal Palace in game week 10, and they're two pretty good fixtures. Although I do wonder with this fixture as well whether Leicester might give Arsenal a bit of a tough time at the Emirates and might be able to kind of choke them down a little bit. With players like Ndidi in midfield, they may just be able to kind of slow that kind of Arsenal roll down a little bit. So I'm really interested in bringing in Lacazette in particular because I think he's well priced. Just not quite sure I'm going to do it this weekend, but the Arsenal front three are definitely someone, that Arsenal front three are definitely on my mind and arguably look more attractive than the Liverpool guys do at the moment. And then just quickly, thirdly, to talk about a couple of other players. Really want to sign Eden Hazard, really want to sign Matt Doherty. and I think I need to take Wayne Hennesey out of my team. Hazard would be good to get in against Man United, but I think this game might be quite tight. You know, Mourinho has this, in the past at least, put a man marker. I think he's played Herrera on Hazard all game and kept him relatively quiet in the past. And it wouldn't surprise me if he does the same again this weekend. Although Hazard's got a great record of scoring against the bigger teams, you know, he's proved that against Liverpool recently. So I want to get him in. I just don't think that necessarily this game is the one to try and rush him in for. Doherty's playing for Wolves at home to Watford. Now that's actually a pretty good fixture. Ideally, I'd like to get him in for this. Watford have been great, but really hit a bit of a wobble recently. You know, they got thumped 4-0 by Bournemouth, I think, a couple of weekends ago. So that's one move that is attractive this weekend. I just think that with my back five, and we'll come on to that later, I just don't know whether making that move this weekend is quite the right time to do it, because I'm pretty happy with the guys I've got back there in terms of their fixtures this weekend. And then finally, Wayne Hennesey. I'm kind of really down on Palace at the moment, which breaks my heart, but their fixtures come up just so horrible, and I need to do something about his point scoring ability. It just always feels a little bit less urgent with goalkeepers, because, you know, on the one hand, you know, I don't think Palace are going to keep many clean sheets, but he's going to have, in those tough games, the opportunity to make lots of saves, and who knows, maybe he will keep the odd clean sheet in that little run and continue scoring. I'm just not sure. It just always feels like there's more of a need to make transfers with attacking players than there is with goalkeepers. So I'm kind of tempted to let that roll. So they're the three areas that I just wanted to talk about for game week 9. I'm going to show you now a couple of strategies that I had in mind to get towards a team that I think is really compelling. In fact, let's start with this kind of ultimate team that I want to get towards, that I feel really good about, and a couple of different ways to start to get there over the next couple of weeks. So the first option is you transfer Harry Kane out this week. He's got a relatively tough game at West Ham, and bring in Roberto Firmino for this weekend, because he's got those two fantastic fixtures, Huddersfield away and Cardiff at home. The second option is to start with Harry Kane coming out and Lacazette coming in. What I like about this option too is that it gets Lacazette and Hazard into the team quicker, because I think they're the two kind of most potent scoring threats in the game right now. So I'm very tempted to go with this. A third option would be to do something with Hennesey this weekend. And then a fourth option is to do nothing at all. And I've been really agonising over whether to go with option 1 or 2. But ultimately I've decided to go with option 4, which is to save the free transfer for this week, just see how those Liverpool players are doing, and maybe just ultimately look at whether West Ham away for Harry Kane and Leicester at home for Lacazette, maybe they're not that different in terms of fixture difficulty. I just think that, you know, Kane has got a good scoring record against other London clubs, and West Ham are good, but Leicester are pretty good too. So it's just not clear cut enough for me to make the decision to kind of pull the trigger on that. And I think if I can bank the free transfer for this week, then I'll do that and see where we are for next week, because I'll have a better sense of how Lacazette's playing versus kind of Firmino, Mane and Salah. If that Liverpool front three really come back to life again this weekend against Huddersfield, then it will be very tempting to put a couple of those guys in for next week. So that's what I've decided to do. Of those 4 options, I'm gonna stick with the team for now. So here's how my team lines up for this week. Let me know what you think. Good luck to you all for game week 9. Sorry this video is so late. And look, I'll check in after the game week and see how I got on, and have a look at the fresh new players that are coming to the league. Good luck. Thanks for watching. Bye.